Good Travel Hour fam? Welcome back to another episode of the Travel Hour. This is your boy Matt and my co-host Joc. We're here today just to have
You?
another conversation with you all. Joc, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I can't lie. I'm a little tired right now. But at the end of the day, I'm feeling good. We just got back from Europe, man. So feeling good.
Definitely. Definitely, I'm right there with you, feeling tired. It's been definitely a week of recovery from our European tour. We're gonna talk about that a little later. I do want to hop on and also introduce our guests that we have today, but you'll hear more about them and their stories a little later. Today we have with us Buck and CJ, who also traveled with us to Europe, and we'll get into introductions a little later. But before we go any further, if you have not already subscribed to our podcast,
Yes,
what
sir.
are you doing? Like, you need to
Uh-oh.
go ahead and hit the little plus button. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music. We even got the visual podcast on YouTube. So if you have not yet subscribed to us, not followed us on Instagram, whatever, you need to join the wander. You need to join the Travel Hour fam. Like, you missing out. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Help us, help you, and you help us get our numbers up, and share this with somebody that you know. But without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, Jock, what's going on in the world today?
Brother, it's a whole lot of going on in the world today.
A
So
whole
I
lot.
got we gotta get the people the good news that's going on in the world. Shout out to our travel hour family. Shout out to our guests. It even feels weird saying guests because we just got off a European tour with these guys. So my brothers, I'm just so glad to have them on with us today. Super excited to get ready to talk about what we did and everything like that. And so, yeah, man, it's a lot going on in the world right now, Matt. So, as we look around, one of the things I want to talk about is that outside is opening back up. As I said before, when we talked earlier, y'all, we said that you need to go ahead and make your plans. Summer's already here. It's April, so we're at 4 months within the year, and summer is right around the corner. And so as we look at that, we just got the rankings from last year for the busiest airports, right? The top 10 list came out, and the U.S. has dominated the top busiest airports within the world. Does anybody? Let me check. Let me see where y'all at. So, what do y'all think it was the busiest airport in the world last year? Anybody want to take a guess?
Atlanta. Is
Uh,
in the U.S.
it's either, I feel like it might be LA or JFK.
So we got LA, JFK. I heard Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Buck
I'll
going with Atlanta.
say I'll say LAX as well.
LAX. Well, Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson Airport was number one last year
Gang
as the
gang.
busiest airport in the world. Fun fact too, one of the reasons that makes Atlanta one of the most busiest airports in the world is because of the way it was designed. One thing about Atlanta is that you can get anywhere within the continental United States within 3 hours from there. So it's a prime
Oh,
location. Also, when they built the airport, the way it's set up is that they have multiple runways with different taxi lanes, so they can like have multiple aircrafts land at one time. Versus a lot of airports aren't built like that. And then you also notice like when you go to Atlanta, that's the reason why they have the separate terminals. So you always take the train underground to get to separate terminals. It gives them more space to bring aircraft in. So it's one of the busiest airports in the world. But last year they came in at number one. Number two was Dallas, actually.
Mm.
And then number
okay.
three was Denver. Number four was Chicago. And then number five was LA. So like the US swept the top seven busiest airports. And number six and seven was Charlotte. Shout out to the 704.
That's good.
Um, yeah,
Really?
and then number seven was Orlando. And so shout out to Orlando as well. So number eight and nine were two airports in China. And then number 10 was actually the Las Vegas airport. So the U.S. is dominating the most busiest airports in the world. People are back outside. As you can see, the flight prices have also gone up. So like we said before, if you plan on going somewhere this year, please make sure you book your flights early or you're going to pay or you're not going to go. I've heard of
Yeah.
people talking about planning bachelor weekends and birthday weekends and things like that. and bachelor wet weekends, and now it's turned to we just gonna stay home and in the city.
We're gonna take a road trip. That's what it's turned into.
Look,
Right.
I love my North Carolina fam, but don't expand your horizons. If you don't want to be at the beach house 30 minutes down the road, then let's make sure that we continue to plan and get ready to get out there and go out and have some fun and enjoy the world. Because outside
Definitely.
back open, you feel me?
You say
It's
no more
wide
staycations?
open. No more staycations.
I'm not knocking the staycation, but when you get forced into the staycation and try to act like this is what you originally planned to do, that's where it comes to the question. Like, just plan better. You feel me?
Understood.
Yes, sir. It's definitely open.
But we gonna get y'all
outside
right
is
though.
definitely open.
We gonna get y'all right.
Say we ran back outside.
Hey, and these airlines are coming back to get their money with a vengeance.
Oh yeah, I was looking at something today, and they're talking about how the demand is up again, and now airlines don't have enough flights to meet the demands right now, so they got to rework their flight schedules to meet the demand. And jet fuel has gone up, as we all know, and we talked about that the last episode. So yeah,
ain't no
you
more
got to be
flights for 30
proactive.
people on now.
You're right.
It's over.
Delta. I was watching something today. The CEO of Delta was saying, "Don't expect any open middle seats in with weeks to come." Like
Oh wow.
they're about
So
to see the most amount of flights that they've ever seen. They said in this month or during this travel season, because everybody's running back to travel.
So they're packing out flights, basically, is what we hear.
They are, and I'm gonna tell you like this: if Ed Bastian says something, it's going to happen. This man, like he pulls all the weight. He's the one that told the CDC like, hey, like the times of quarantine is too long when folks catch COVID.
Yeah.
After he made that statement, the CDC miraculous, and he made the statement directly to the CDC, and they came back, and then it was like, yeah, like if you come back, if you get COVID, you can go back as soon as you test negative or 5 days instead of 10 days.
Who said that?
Ed Bastian, the CEO of Delta.
Wow.
So that man is like the Jeff Bezos of the airlines. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
That's crazy.
They really be listening to what that man be saying, man. And so,
that's crazy.
We even experienced ourselves. We had Delta flights going over across the pond to Amsterdam, and we saw them flights got combined, and it was not many middle seats.
Yeah.
What?
Man.
Don't tell me about the Lord. Don't remind me.
I'll say this though. We did fly in comfort. So even though we were packed down, we flew in comfort.
Yeah, shout out to Delta.
What they feed you and stuff like that. That was my first time getting fed. I'm talking about unlimited drinks. Like going across that pond, them 8+ hours, they go feed you and drink you up now.
Hey, I'm gonna say this. I ain't even want to get off the plane. I could have just stayed there. Give me somewhere to take a shower, and I'm good.
That's funny.
My second flight was better. I ain't tell y'all about that, but my second flight was way better.
Well, we definitely gonna talk more about that a little later in the show.
Yes.
So we can definitely, because at the end of the day, we're trying to give people knowledge and tools to really make themselves, you know what I'm saying, have a better experience when they're traveling and stuff like that. And also to take some of the edge off, because it's not easy traveling, I think a lot of folks see the Instagram picture and the final product, but they don't really get to sit in between the nitty gritty and how you got there and stuff like that.
Right.
Well, super important. But moving right along, y'all. Some other good news, because there's a lot of bad stuff going around the world, but let's highlight some of the good. Shout out to the Black Queen, Ketanji Brown Jackson, as being nominated as the first Black woman to the United States Supreme Court, man.
We see you, Queen. Nubian.
Come on, Auntie Ketanji.
Love to see it.
Nubian, we love to see
it.
They gave you a hard time, but
Lord,
to see somebody who was graceful,
graceful.
That's real.
Didn't allow that to affect her going through all the hearings and everything. It's just like now it's like, and the bad thing about it, she knew she didn't need their votes for real. Like,
shout out to Cory Booker
and still went through it.
He gave her flowers, man.
Shout out to Cory Booker for real, because he was over there like amazed.
Yes,
like
sir.
Being real talk.
Yeah,
he a senator, right? Hey, when he was talking, man, he let it be known like this is something different. Like, I'm happy for you, Queen.
Right.
Like, for real. And she went through that gracefully, because they was coming at her neck.
Hey, but this is a big win for the community, though. When we look at representation, seeing a black woman, take a seat like that, it shows other young black women that they can achieve and aspire to do great things. So flowers.
That's it.
Definitely.
I think that her confirmation and her nomination alone means so much, right? Because when we look at it, when we start drawing the parallels, right? I was told that some of the main staples within the black community that kept us going were the black church, the black business, black universities, and black fraternities and sororities, right? And so when we look at that, she had a connection to all of them. Even though she's not Greek, her father was an Omega that crossed at North Carolina Central University, Towside Chapel, right? Her parents both attended HBCUs, right? And even with that being said, her parents then relocated to South Florida, raised her here, and as products of HBCUs, raised a daughter that would then go on to go to Harvard University, right?
Right.
And graduate top of her class.
Top of the class, and was editor of the law review, right?
Right.
Stop playing with that queen.
So when we talk about what our HBCUs represent and what they produce, it's not a second class education, right? This is a legacy of 2 HBCU graduates that went on.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? To hold one of the highest positions in this nation, right? And so, even when she shared her story about being one of the few black people on that campus walking across Harvard's campus, and the black woman passed her and didn't know her.
Right.
And saw her with her head down and said, "Hey, persevere."
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Like, come on. Like,
the struggle.
So it's just super fulfilling. And one thing I will say on this, my last point of clarification was that you realize that Joe Biden got a lot of scrutiny from a lot of our white members in Congress about why you just want to only nominate a black woman. But then when she went through the confirmation, she handled it with grace because the 2 Supreme Court justices that were nominated before her under Donald Trump didn't go through that scrutiny, right?
Right.
And to sit before you and be one of the most experienced and most talented judges to come through within the last 3 or 4 nominations and still have to explain myself because of the color of my skin.
Right.
And still handle it gracefully. That is what equity means, because at the end of the day, equity is not equality. Equity means doing the right thing, because at the end of the day, we've been excluded, so we've got to lift black people into these places, right?
Right.
And so it's not about being fair at this point. We're not talking about fairness. But at the end of the day, how many times does this highlight how qualified black folks are in position to lead, but simply just don't have the opportunity?
Right.
Yes, sir.
So that's where I'm at with it. I'm extremely excited, and she's from South Florida, so shout out to her.
Bro, I'm talking about, it was coming at her neck, and she took it with a smile, answered their questions, kept it pushing. Like, dog, a lot of people not handling that. That's why you gotta tell people to persevere through all the BS and what people trying to put you through, man. Like, that's why I say, like, man, don't just let words affect you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it's bigger, you know?
That's real, bro. I mean, some of the questions that were asked for me, I'm just gonna say mind-boggling. It's just like, okay, like you said, Joc. I mean, her predecessors weren't asked questions on some of those levels, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of hard to even stomach for me specifically. Watching her go through it. But to your point, to everybody's point, she handled it gracefully, and it just shows her strength and her character. And I'm excited to see what she does. Really,
because they're trying to make a fumble. That's what they were trying to do.
Yes, sir.
Oh, she was the definition of you got to work twice as hard.
Come on, man.
They were trying to make her fumble to just mess her up any type of way.
Correct.
Handled it.
Big facts. So, Katanja, if you hear this, we're rooting for you, boo. If you don't, it's cool. Continue to carry that torch.
We're rooting for everybody that's black. Come on,
amen.
That's it.
And we do know that the first black Supreme Court justice was the alpha man, Thurgood Marshall.
Come on,
yes, sir.
Come on, let them know. Justice. Let them know.
And so we are just so great as members of Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated that the first, it's only the first to serve in that position was Thurgood Marshall, because we don't. After that, we don't count Clarence. So, Katanja, we're proud of you.
Hey,
But yeah, man, there's a lot going on in the world, like I said, y'all. And we'll leave on a note. I can't say it's positive, but if you plan on going to Amsterdam, you might want to get there, right? Because according to the mayor of Amsterdam, she has now announced that she is pushing forward with official legislation to end the use of recreational cannabis amongst tourists that visit the city.
Mm. Womp, womp,
Ooh.
womp.
Hey, look, that's one of the drawing factors in Amsterdam, right?
That's why a lot of people go.
But see, you know why they can do that though, right? Remember when we was on our tour when he said it's really not legal, how they supposed to say it's legal.
Correct.
It's a way they go around it with the coffee shops and stuff.
And that's a great point, Buck. So, Buck, you're on to something, right? So the article that was published, it talks about how that one of the biggest issues that they're finding is that it's not that the cannabis is the issue, but what people are doing in these coffee shops are trafficking other drugs with the cannabis that are harder drugs, and it's leading to crime-related issues, right? And so they're trying to crack down a little bit because they know that the majority. They said that research is telling them that actually over 50% of the people that visit Amsterdam is for recreational drug use. And so we already know, like, one of the things that Buck referred to was that the cannabis game over there is kind of tricky. It's not legal, it's just decriminalized.
Correct.
And so cannabis can be used so long as you're in a coffee shop. But actually, like most of the coffee shops where they're sourcing their cannabis from and the amounts they're getting is actually illegal. They just don't enforce it.
And they're getting them from outside of Amsterdam.
Yes. So it gets a little tricky with that. And so you want to be careful on how you move about the city. One thing I will say, one of the things that they talked about was that Amsterdam as a city has so much more to offer than just cannabis. And I think we all can really relate to that. Like, a lot of stuff, like people were asking me about my DMs. Did you go to this? Did you go to that? And it was like, bro, to be honest, like I didn't even make it there. Like we over here doing other stuff.
Facts. I already know what people telling you what did we visit and all that stuff, but it was so much. It's so much to do. Like for real. The people great, the vibes was great, the area is great. Like you love it. For sure.
I agree with you. Vibes. Totally.
You get so stuck. Like the time was there for me, it just went by so fast. Like for real, because of the vibes, you know?
Yeah. Definitely.
Like we're just stuck in it. Like for real. I know we're gonna talk about it later when we get on the Amsterdam topic, but y'all go learn a lot more about it.
Yeah, Amsterdam is a beautiful city, man. It is something special. Like I've been to several countries, and there's just even it was cold. It was cold as hell when we went there, and there was just still a certain energy about that city, man,
definitely
that I just cannot explain. Yeah,
right.
Definitely a vibe. Well, I guess that's a great segue into our topic today. The name of this episode is Santorini Me, but we want to talk about our journey getting to Santorini, right? But before we do that, let's meet our guests for today's episode. We have Buck and we have CJ. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. You can tell us where you're from, how we all know each other, and you know how you all got into traveling. So let's start with Buck.
All right. What's up, everybody? I'm Big Buck. You know, I went to Shaw University with everybody else that's on this podcast. You know, I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi. I came to Raleigh. Well, you know, let me say this. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm from the boot, baby. You know what I'm saying? The bottom of the map. You know, I ended up coming to Shaw in Raleigh, North Carolina, you know, because of football. So, and that's why I originally met Joc, you know, because of football, and then we became brothers and everything like that. And so I met Matt and CJ through Joc, you know, because you know, being line brothers and everything like that, you know, we're all a family, you know, and we got closer that way. Because you know, it's about experiences, man. I tell people, like, when I got to Shaw, because I came from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I came to Shaw. But one thing I could tell people, when I came to Shaw and just experienced Shaw, it's a family. It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like when I tell you, like, that Shaw U pride is thick, And I'm gonna tell you, it's heavy because we small and we stick together, like for real. Like we don't bring Shaw problem issues to other campuses. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that when you have other schools where they so big, like I tell people this, when I went to Southern, and you got other big schools, other big HBCUs that be like that, where you can see somebody one semester and not see them to the next semester. Especially not in the same circles. But Shaw, we're a family. You know,
Yeah.
we go
Yeah.
meet up in the cab. We go meet up on that yard. So that made us be
Yeah.
be a family. It made it stronger. And then you got people from different walks of lives, and we all meet up at Shaw, and then you meet different people. Like I tell people all the time, like me meeting people from DC, New York, all that type of stuff. Me being from way in the South, man, and BR, Louisiana, man, come on, man. We wasn't seeing people like that. So, and then it's like we made relationships like that. So, but yeah, that's like I said right now.
Dope.
No, Big Buck. Hey,
Yeah.
Big Buck, you said you a member of Omega Psi Phi, huh?
Yes, sir.
What
Yes,
chapter
sir.
you from, Big Buck? What chapter you
De-
from, man?
Delta side, you know what I'm talking about? Yes, sir.
Ooh,
Man,
okay.
you know what it is. Hey, Mother Pearl, baby, you know what it is. Tell them stop playing with us.
Oh, okay. I
You
see.
know they're gonna say something about it, but we here.
Okay. And that's what's up. I'm proud of y'all. Because y'all gonna be Delta Psi chapter is very cool with the Beta Rho chapter of Alpha Alpha. So like I said, like they said, Shaw's a big family. And it's 2022, so next year y'all gonna be celebrating the centennial.
Yes, sir.
So shout out to Delta Psi, man. Shout out to Delta Psi Qs as
Shout
well.
out to y'all.
It's
Yes,
always
sir.
love.
There's always love.
Definitely.
Hey,
It's on you,
does that leave
CJ.
me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, what's up, everybody? CJ or Cortland Jingles. I am member of the Beta Rho chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I am these guys. When I say these guys, Matt and Joc's line brother. And yeah, Buck pretty much said everything eloquently. We all graduated from Shaw University. We're all pretty much one big family, and been traveling with Joc and Matt over the past few years, and got the opportunity to travel to Europe. I'd say prior to this experience, I was extremely hesitant to travel outside of the U.S. This is at this point in time what my second, third international travel opportunity, and I see that this was just the door opening for me to experience a lot more moving forward. Other than that, I'm gonna say initially when Joc and I'd say Matt and I initially met, I couldn't stand these guys, but they have gone on to become two of my closest friends and definitely like family for me. So excited to be here. Thank you guys.
Definitely. And I wanted to highlight something that you've heard everybody say that we are graduates of the Shaw University,
Yes, Lord.
the mother HBC of the South.
You baby,
And
stop
I,
playing.
I say that because while we were out traveling, somebody approached me and asked me, out of all the schools that I could have gone to, how did I end up at Shaw? And I know I probably can speak for a lot of us, like, Shaw was probably one of the best decisions that we made, right?
Yeah,
Facts.
honestly.
Facts. Best
We may
relationships
not
in
have
yeah.
all the bells and whistles, but like Buck said, it's a close knit family. Like you're not gonna find anything else like Shaw. You
Yeah,
know, yeah, we're a small school, and that works to our benefit. And I'm just thankful for Shaw University. Shout out to Shaw U. I'm a out of hell. If you're a alum of Shaw U and you listen to this, two claps for the U. Yeah, man. So appreciate y'all for joining us today on the Travel Hour. We're gonna get into our European tour. You keep hearing us say that. So we're gonna kind of get into that. Actually, yeah, let's just keep going that, and then we'll kind of ask the question um at the end that we normally ask right now. But
dope.
so we spent last week. If you would, well, let's start. If you would listen to our last episode, you heard that we were getting ready to go to on a trip. And so now that trip has happened. We spent the last week in Europe. Our end destination was Santorini, Greece. However, we took a little detour, right? And we went to Amsterdam the Netherlands, and then
Woo.
also Milan, Italy. And so we want to provide information for you, all right? Because that's what we are big about, giving you all information, dropping gems. And so we kind of just want to talk about our travel to the to Europe. So for all of us, we all met in Joc, CJ, and Buck met in Atlanta, and I flew straight from LA to Amsterdam. So I met them in Amsterdam, and we just kind of want to talk about, our experience getting to Amsterdam or getting into Europe. So the first thing that I will say that Europe has, or the EU has, dropped a lot of their restrictions that they had to
Thank
enter
God.
into the company,
Yes.
Right.
the country,
Mhm.
um, until the country's over there. So I know for us, the only thing we needed to get into the EU, right? The only thing we needed to get into Amsterdam, into uh, Italy, into Greece. Greece, all you needed was a negative COVID test. But now all you need is proof of vaccination,
Right.
and you can get into the countries
Right.
over there in the EU. So how was you all's flight going to Europe? I know mine was a little different, so I want to hear how you all's flight was traveling to Amsterdam.
Man, our flight was amazing. This was my first international flight that flight was what, 8 hours
Mhm.
headed to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Delta, I'm gonna say also shout out to Delta, man. They fed us so good, man. Shout out to that pepper chicken. Shout
Mhm.
out to the copious amounts of free drinks that they gave us, from water to
So you
sparkling
slept
wine to
slept real good on that flight.
come on, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Delta Comfort. The seats were amazing. I'd say their service was top notch. The plane was top notch. I had no prior experience again flying on any type of aircraft that level or that size, I'd say. And I typically have traveling anxiety. And for me to be able to get on that plane and fly 8 hours straight, feel like I was treated like a king, I'm ready to go somewhere else. Again, I think at the end of that flight, by the time everything was over, man, I truly didn't even want to get off the plane. I'm like, yo, if they had maybe some little bunk beds or something, some bunk beds and maybe a shower, I could have camped on that plane.
Well, if you want to
So
pay
I'd
that
say over.
$5,000, you can get on Delta One, and
Right. Listen,
Yeah.
we on our way though. We on our
Hey,
way.
On the
we,
way.
We on
I
our
got
way.
five on it. Can we split that four ways?
I
they
got
got lay they got a
five
lay
on it.
they got a layaway plan. We need a layaway plan.
Hey,
Listen,
until then,
Hey,
just continue to get your sky miles up, King. You're gonna be there one day.
right,
Let's say
right.
come
one
on.
day.
That's it. That's it.
Jack, you want me to go next or you?
No, go ahead, bro. You good.
I'm gonna tell you, I had a different experience. Like first off, it's so if everybody that don't know me, I'm 6'4", 300. You feel me? 300 plus. So officer lineman. So I don't know how I didn't recognize this. I paid my ticket to get in main cabin, right? They put me in the middle seat. Oh my God. Like when I tell you, like then it's just like I could not go to sleep. I couldn't do this. But first off, the service was amazing. Like it was amazing. That was just on my part, but from not going to like the teller whoever the gate agent and see if I can get me to get into a outside aisle seat. But what I can say, they booked two flights into one.
That
Right.
definitely did me.
So if they didn't do that, I know I probably would have had an aisle seat, and then I probably would have been good, or somewhere in the front where my legs can spread. But I was in the middle of two other people, right? So my legs is like tight fitted for 8 hours, like, and I'm just like my big self in the middle, like, come on now, that ain't gonna shake. But far as like the service, the food, the drinks, everything was amazing. Like, but I say this for advice for my big fellows, that's 6'4" or 3+ or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
you six
sometimes you
or
got some
above.
people that's 250 that try to act like they 300. Like, do not get in the middle aisle, my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, do not. Or you know what? Even, our queens that's tall, you cannot do a middle seat.
Come
I'm just
on
letting
now.
you know that now. Like, the middle seat is dead. I'm trying to tell you, you will have an 8-hour trip of hell of trying to go. Like, them 8 hours of travel, like overnight. Like, I legitly maybe got like maybe an hour of sleep, if that. But it was like off and on, so it was real tough. So like when we landed, I was tired. I'm not even gonna lie. I was through it. Like I was through. Like, I was just put. The only reason that got me through is my guys, and like just like we about to be lit in Amsterdam, like real talk, cause I was hurting. Like when we were checking into the hotel and stuff, I was crying. Like I got to push through. But that's my no aisle seats. If I give advice on a pack fight, pay that extra money, whatever, because it's 8 hours plus.
Yes, sir.
Do not get in the middle seat if you 6'4".
I think Buck, even to add to that, man, don't get the basic flight. Get the
Yeah,
flight that
basic.
allows
Don't
you
do
to
basic
select
economy.
your seat. Because if you get
Right,
the basic economy flight, they're gonna select that seat for you. If you
right.
pay a little more, you can pretty much get that aisle seat. I'm gonna say get that aisle seat. Don't get the middle seat and don't get the window seat. You can get somebody to take a picture for you from the window.
And book through Delta.
Yeah.
That's what I can say
Yes, sir.
too. Cause you get on the website, you have Atlantic, Virgin Atlantic, and KLM.
Yep. Okay.
If you cause like they're going to put the flights together or put you on a Delta flight. But the thing
Right.
about it, if you book Delta is gonna come first serve,
Yeah.
right? So even though you might book comfort level through Virgin, uh Delta comfort level will come first.
Yes.
So it's best to go straight through Delta. So that lets you know Delta, KLM, and Virgin Atlantic and Virgin, they all together.
Yeah,
Well,
they all partners.
they under yeah. So KLM are real big in the Europe areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's Delta of Europe,
Yeah.
but
It's a Dutch airline, so it's based out of
right,
Amsterdam.
it's
But
based
yeah,
out of
it's still like
Amsterdam, right?
the Delta of Europe though, pretty much as far as like
Hmm.
type of experience you're gonna get.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and we'll get into later when we go to Amsterdam because I got a lot to say about that with KLM. Lord have mercy.
So my experience was it wasn't bad, and I'm a my preference is window seat, and so I always get a window seat. But I'm also not one who gets up a lot during the flight. And so I will say my flight was fairly long. It was 11 hours from LA to Amsterdam. I left right after church on Sunday. And so I was a little tired. Had to do a little run around once I got to the airport because uh, I went over to Delta because I bought my flight through Delta, but it was on KLM because that's one of Delta's partners. Walked over, if you're familiar with LAX airport, I got dropped off at the international air terminal, Tom Bradley terminal, which I should have just stayed there. But I didn't see a Delta kiosk. So I walked over to Terminal 2, got there, waited in line, got to the counter. Oh, buddy at the Delta counter, which his name was Matt. So shout out to Matt at the Delta counter in Terminal 2, LAX. He was like, yo, your flight is through KLM, so you got to go check in over at Terminal B, which is the international terminal. I was like, bro, I just came from there. So I walked back over there. And from the time I got there, got through security, thankful for pre-check because I didn't have to, go through taking all my clothes, my shoes and stuff off and laptops out of my bag or whatever. It was a 20-minute walk from security to my gate. So that was by the time I got there, I was tired. So tired. Um, and then we booked the flight. The only thing I will say about KLM going to Amsterdam is that the rules are completely different when you're on board, right? Last year when I flew KLM going to Egypt, masks were required. This time going to Amsterdam, in their little, the little brief that they give, the flight attendants give, they were saying that it's recommended, but it wasn't. So they were not being mass police on this flight. Granted, I wore mine majority of the time, but 11 hours with a mask on your face is that's a lot. And so I was thankful for that. Now on the way back, because we're flying back into the U.S., masks were required. But outside of that, the food was decent. I'm thankful too for the complimentary drinks. They definitely got me through the flight. Shout out to whoever was sitting next to me. Luckily, we didn't have anybody in our middle seat going to Amsterdam, but I was sitting in the window.
You.
Somebody else was sitting at the aisle. Whenever one of us ordered a drink, we said we would tell the flight attendant to bring back two. And so we were just back there, like, just having a good time.
You said Club KLM?
Right, Club KLM.
Pull up. What's
And
up, KLM?
next thing you know, we was out. I was out. I was out and woke up. It was they was bringing breakfast around.
Hey, that's the beauty about international flights, especially if you got a red eye going across the pond.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you're gonna get that dinner, you know what I'm saying? And then you get a couple of drinks and then you sleep. When they wake you up and you looking crazy at like 4 in the morning, like, who touched me?
Right.
You're
Trying
like,
to figure out what's going on.
what we got today. And then you smell that hot breakfast, you like, ooh. So they are definitely going international flights, and I'll be quite honest, like last year going to Egypt, my first international flight going across the pond was going to Tanzania in 2019. And that's when I first experienced, like, because I had taken international flights before, but not that far. And that's when I experienced, like, oh, they really feed people on here. Oh, they're really like pouring up, you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you want to drink? And so what I learned from that was that, hey, like, I would rather go over across the pond in comfort. And I realized that Delta was the airline that was going to give you that, right? Because Delta is more so about the experience. You're going to pay to fly Delta, but it's more so about the experience with them. And so if you're going to fly that far, like, you don't want to be cheap. I think that your comfort comes before that, because when you're talking about sitting 8 hours on a flight, that's a different level of flying.
Yeah,
it gets real different. And even I had decent seats going there and back. Going back, I got upgraded to Delta Comfort for both of my flights. And being a member that had points, I was able to do that, right? But going there, they still gave me the luxury to pick my seat, and so I got an exit row seat. And so even though going there, I had the leg room, it was still a little tight on my hips, but I still had the leg room. And the way my seat was set up, I could still get up and move around if I wanted to. So, like, those things are super important. And what I will say to people, if you have an opportunity, create a Sky Miles account with the airline, all airlines, right? And so as you accumulate points with them, it's really going to unlock different benefits. So just do that and keep track of your points. You'd be surprised how they build up. Because just off this trip alone, like, I think I just came up with like 10,000 Sky Miles. So if and to the layman person, like, 10,000 Sky Miles is halfway to making status with Delta.
Right.
And you got to book it, because you put me on that too, Zig. Joc, when we talked about it, they stopped doing Sky Miles for basic, so you got to book main cabin to get Sky Miles with Delta.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead and just pay that extra $100 to get main cabin, so you can get those Sky Miles. Granted, the higher up you go in the cabin, so if you do main comfort, the more miles you accumulate. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I'm definitely thankful for the miles that I earned on this trip. It's helping me I'm inching my way up to the next tier in Delta. So
and that's with any airline. Like, if you have
with any airline,
you get miles. I got points with Spirit, JetBlue, Delta, American.
Yeah,
I hate American.
I do too.
But I still keep track of my points to know, because you just never know when you might need those points. Matter of fact, when I went to LA to visit you, Matt, I had to get a flight coming back, and I flew back the day after Christmas. I got that flight for free with double Sky Miles.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm a little Sky Miles Neo, so I'm still trying to get my profile code. So
we're the same.
Hey, and hold on real quick, y'all. Free game. If your job is flying you out and they don't have a preference on the airline you use, tell them to book you on Delta.
Yep.
You guys, I'm already ahead of that, man. I'll be booking me a flight tomorrow to go to Dallas. So thank you guys for that tip.
And
Yeah,
you
I'm gonna
good
teach
because
them.
Dallas is
They
a
ain't
hub
gonna,
for
they ain't
that.
gonna the flies out. I'm gonna teach it so they gonna keep us in state. I wish they would.
And if you like, and this is the thing too, though, bro. Like what I looked at as well. If there's a flight like going out on Delta that's like only $20 more, book the Delta flight because you get free bags and the experience, right?
Yeah,
So
Right.
just look at those things. Always like just double check and triple check, because those points start to add up.
Google Flight,
definitely.
Hopper. Look at those things, man. That helps you out with finding great flight.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely used some apps to kind of
Everybody,
find what flights we wanted, hopping around,
Shout out to Hopper.
hopping around Europe. So I will say spend that money for that long haul flight, and then once you get to whatever country you want to jump from country to country, then you can look at low budget airfare.
shout out to
Hey,
Easy
I'll even
Jet,
say this.
baby.
Easy
So
Jet.
Easy,
so
easy.
even hey, look, even when they're looking for flights, you may want to also recommend that you guys use a incognito browser.
Yes, definitely. You like, yeah, incognito, because every time you search for a flight in your regular web browser, it plays with the algorithm, and the flight goes up every time you search it. So definitely, you like, if you got
Oh,
Google
okay.
Chrome, use that hidden browser, and go incognito and search that way. Also look at them in different currencies, right? Because you may be able to find something different, a little different too.
Google Flights. That's what I'm saying. Google Flights go. If you go search first, go to Google Flights because Google Flights will give you every airline and give you the cheap price first and everything like that. Go to Google Flights and just put flights from wherever you at. Like I put flights from New Orleans or flights from Baton Rouge. Because like I say, New Orleans is an hour away from me, so that's how you got two different airlines and you can price them.
Agreed.
Definitely. Well, let's get into Amsterdam. Let's tell the folks what we liked about Amsterdam. I'm gonna just whoever want to go first. Like, what was Amsterdam for you?
Vibes. Amsterdam was a total vibe, man.
Yes.
After going to Toronto, Canada back in 20, what was that, 2020?
Yeah,
2020, I was a Canada head. Like I just know I'm moving to Canada basically. But Amsterdam was beautiful city. I think Matt and Jock both alluded to it being extremely cold. It was rainy. However, it still was so much to do in the city. That didn't stop the vibe. It didn't stop people from being out in the streets, uh, really living their daily lives. I'd say my highlight from Amsterdam was definitely going to and help me out. It was Adom.
a damn,
Hey, damn.
Adom.
a
Adom
damn
was
lookout.
was was so cool, man. Like that was what the 22nd floor. Being
That
Yeah,
up
was high.
on the 22nd floor, they have that bar at the top. Dope spot for you to look over and see pretty much the skyline of Amsterdam. And then the swing that Jock and Matt both were able to get my scary ass to be on,
God bless.
that was extremely fun.
God bless.
Being able to swing over Amsterdam while honestly trying something new and daring. That
yeah.
was my highlight for sure. The people were cool, food was cool, total vibes.
This definitely was a push your limits type of trip, like doing something you haven't done before, something outside of your comfort zone. So shout out to CJ for taking the risk and get on the ADAM lookout swing and swinging over the building and the water. So that was definitely yeah. What about you, Buck? What did you like about Amsterdam?
So Amsterdam, I loved it. Like we're gonna talk about the vibes, right?
Yes,
Like
sir.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Like this is my first trip going across that pond, that 8 hour trial to go to Europe. And I'm so happy that y'all guys picked that, right? Because now there's something and matter of fact, in all our lives that we be like, damn, bro, we experienced Amsterdam. Like as soon as we said it, was like, bro, this is a place we can come back and visit for 4 or 5 days. Like, man, we got to come back here, And you know what I'm saying? That's something for us in the future. Like, and like I'm a type of person, like, we say, if you know, teach, if you don't know, learn, right? I'm the oldest of the group, but at the same time, I don't know everything. So with the way that y'all set this up, where it's like we're going to Amsterdam, Italy, all this stuff, like, bro, this is amazing. Like, for real, like, to go to Amsterdam and just see everything, like how it's a vibe, like the different culture, like to see, like, we outside, and it's like from the time we got there to the time we left, it was drizzling and cold and windy, right? I got there, I'm leaving Louisiana and Atlanta to come across there. I have no jacket on. So I'm like, okay, by the time we get there, I'm like, by the time we get to Amsterdam and we get off the train, I said, hold up, wait a minute. Hold up, let me get my jacket, dog. Hold up, we in the train, I gotta get my jacket. Like, I'm thinking like we about to push through. Like, I'm like, oh, this drizzle might stop or whatever. No, sir. Till we got, I'm talking about the whole time we got there first day was drizzling, it was cold. But the thing I can say how it's different, the people push through this day everyday life. Bro, if we're in the States and we doing that, people driving, they inside, bro. I swear to God, and it's
the Southern United States.
Well, right,
yeah,
right. Let me say that.
Top folks, we do that every day. But go ahead,
right?
brother.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got. Yeah, well, let me speak. Yeah, from the South, deep South. Let me say that then, because guess what? You know, anything under probably 60, we like, hold up, you know. But to see like it's, but the thing that's the difference though, even within the States though, to them to ride bikes in that. Come on, man. I was like, bro, when we was out at night, and these people riding bikes and it was cold. Yeah, man, it got beyond 50, and it was raining. Like to see that, but to the other thing, like we got attest to is like how friendly the people were. Like
that's real.
It was crazy. Like I really enjoyed it. Like from, you know, to what we could say when we hit the bar. We went to Joc researched the hip hop bar, and we went there, and then to see how like he was like he just immersed us, and like he was just taking shots with us, and it was
shout out to my man Axel at, I don't even remember the name of the bar, but shout out to Axel. Yeah, Cafe Duvet. If you're ever in Amsterdam, go by Cafe Duvet. And make sure that Axel is there. Tell him that the Travel Hour sent you, because we followed him. He followed us on Instagram, and he gonna hook you up. Shout out to Axel.
Hook you up
for sure. He gonna hook you up.
And one thing I do like about, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna come up pretty often, the amount of money that we paid for drinks was significantly cheaper than what we would pay in the US. So that's also, I mean, I know the euro is more in value than the US dollar, but I feel like things are more reasonably priced over in the EU.
That's
so
that's a fact.
Yeah,
$3 shots,
right? Literally,
$3 shots, literally.
Well, I say the food was even reasonably priced, so you got a lot for your money. Really, from drinks to food. Shit, I was eating all the time.
I was concerned about the convert, because this is my first time really traveling to a place that the USD was not worth more than their currency. Right. And so when I got over, I was like, yo, I don't know what to expect. And we got in there, it's like most things that we were purchasing at the end of the day were actually cheaper than they were in the US, you know. And so that was interesting to see, especially with food. Like we went to a spot in Greece, but we'll talk about that a little later. But you know, we talk about the way the food was priced when we went out and had drinks, you know, and what that was priced. And then also the tipping. In Europe, they're not, I don't think in certain places that we went, they were so used to the generous tip culture, because people kept looking at us like, are you sure?
Yes.
A lot. So it was interesting.
Definitely, yeah. I think for me, for Amsterdam, outside of, you know, like going to the bars and the Adam lookout, just to learn like the history that Amsterdam holds, right? Learning about how the reason why it's called Amsterdam, and because why Rotterdam is called Rotterdam was because the cities were literally built off of a dam, right? And also learning how why the architecture is the way that it is, why some of the buildings lean forward, why just learning a lot of things about Amsterdam, even being able to go see the Anne Frank house. Um,
Right.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to go inside of the Anne Frank house because what they do is, so if you're going to Amsterdam and you want to go to the Anne Frank house, they release the tickets for the following month on the on the first Tuesday of each month. They release the tickets for the following month. So we're getting ready to go into May. And so that first Tuesday of May will be the tickets that they release for June. And that's how you have to, and those tickets go really fast. So if you're ever going to Amsterdam and you want to go to the Anne Frank house, please, please, please make sure that you book those tickets well in advance. And
Definitely.
that's one thing that you want to make sure, like, if you know you're going to do certain excursions,
Yeah.
book them in advance. You know, that'll save you a lot of time of trying to figure out what exactly you want to do. Luckily, Joc and I, we came together and we kind of put together like a itinerary. It wasn't anything like set in stone, but gave us a scale, a skeleton of what we were hoping to attempt while we were there in Amsterdam. Granted, the weather kind of had a play and alter some of our plans, but we still had a great time. So I really appreciate Amsterdam. That's definitely my vibe, my speed. Um,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I was telling, I'm like CJ at this point, like, let me look at some jobs. Let me see who hiring over in Amsterdam. You know,
Come on
because
now.
I
Hey,
can move over there, especially in especially in 2024 if Trump become president again.
And they know
Amsterdam,
English.
Amsterdam
Hey,
might just be the move.
hey, and a shout out. I forgot that man's name because I think he had a Dutch name. But shout out to our tour guide on the Canal tour.
Oh, definitely,
yes, sir.
What's the name? What's the
definitely.
name of the
The
one we
canal
went to?
tour.
I
What it
booked it
was? It
through
was another.
Airbnb
It was something else.
experiences. But what I can do is we can drop the link for the folks in the comments. We'll drop the link in the description for them because
That's
Yeah,
the one
I
that.
got
That's the
so
one that actually
I
had.
think it was like Frontline or something like
Yeah, it
that.
was something like that. It
it
was
was
like I know it was something. First
so
line. It
free,
was something.
free. I can't remember the name,
But
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 we'll
they had.
definitely
It was the only one that had
we'll
alcohol.
link
'Cause I
it.
remember you told us. Like that was the
yeah,
We'll
only one
link it
that
in
had
the
alcohol.
description below for sure.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
that was. I think for me that was the highlight of the trip.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because we learned so
Good movie
much about the
history.
city. They were talking about why the houses are built so skinny in Amsterdam was because they were taxed by the width of the house. They talked about the
Mm,
houses leaning forward because they had to use the hook and pulley system to get stuff
Yeah,
up into the windows on the second floor because the stairs were too narrow.
Yeah.
yeah,
And so it was just so much. They even talked to us about why Amsterdam folks from the Netherlands refer to the country as Holland. And Holland was one of the provinces that was the most popular that Amsterdam sat in. And so when
yep,
people
Mhm.
came to the port, they'd be like, "Yeah, we're in Holland," even though the country was called Netherlands, right?
yep,
And so
mhm.
even the locals to this they refer to it as Holland. So if
yep.
you hear that, they're talking about the Netherlands, right?
Right.
Um, and so it was just super dope. We got to go around the canals. We saw the different buildings and things like. We even saw the mayor's home. They explained to us about the crests that go on the top of the window of the houses, to what I'm saying, to show where your family is from and lineage and where you come from and things like that.
Hmm.
But
Right.
it's just a beautiful city. And one thing I will say was dope too as well. On that tour, I learned about a little bit about Rotterdam, right? And I've been researching videos on Rotterdam, and I've got to get there.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
like
definitely want to go
like
next time.
Amsterdam, bro. Like it is like when they kept saying it's the modern city of the Netherlands. Like
Hmm.
it's like you get like because it was blown up during World War II, you get some of the Dutch charm with some of the buildings that were preserved with like all these new like skyscrapers and things like that. And so definitely want to get back to the Netherlands and definitely visit it for a longer time. But I will say this for the time we were there, we definitely maximized our time.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we put together an itinerary. It wasn't that the itinerary was set in stone. It was really a guide to make sure we hit some of the highlights of the city, and we got a chance to do that.
Hmm.
I'll say
And
shout out to you guys for the itinerary for sure. You
for
Facts.
all
sure.
really knew who you were bringing on the trip and really
Peace,
tried to
King.
highlight certain
Peace.
places for those folks or for us. So shout out, guys. I
For real.
appreciated that.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. We also want to shout out. We shot our last. I mean, we getting ready to hop into Milan, but I just want to let you know how easy it is to get around Amsterdam. Um,
Ooh, yes,
it
sir.
is very easy. Like from the time we landed, we were able to take the train and down. Our hotel was in Amsterdam Central. And
Yeah.
so we were able to take the train like a 10-15 minute ride to the Amsterdam Central. And from the train station was literally maybe like a 10-minute walk to our hotel. And from there, we were able to walk everywhere. Amsterdam is built to be a walkable city. That's why it's
Yes.
very bike friendly. Um, you have cars, but you see a lot of people walking and riding their bikes.
Right.
And so, if you ever go to Amsterdam, we didn't get to rent bikes because we were kind of a little pressed for time, but definitely rent you a bike. And I think it's like $11 for 3 hours, and you
Right.
can ride around Amsterdam and just see, kind of experience life as a local.
Yeah, because
Hey,
they
and
said
look.
that's the only thing different between Amsterdam and what you said Rotterdam
Mm-hmm.
was that
Hmm.
how accessible it was to like get around in Amsterdam. They said Rotterdam was like a little bit spread it out. Shout out
Yeah,
to our bartender at the Sheraton. He put us on game about that when we asked about it.
yeah,
So if
My
y'all don't know, there was a running trend when we was in Amsterdam. For some reason, the bartenders loved us, so they would be serving
Facts.
us drinks, and
hey,
then
That's a fact.
the next thing you know, they taking shots with us and talking about some sharing their life stories. But
Yes.
that's truly, bro. Like that's how you learn the culture. Just talking to
yeah,
the everyday folks, they will really put you on game and tell you about everything that you need to know about the city. And so,
hmm
like I always say, there's just something about that black magic when we travel. Like people are drawn to us. They
they
feel the good
gravitated toward
energy,
it. Yeah,
Oh
and they
my God.
realize, like I cannot like count how many. Like we're sitting in a bar, and all of a sudden, like the bartender's taking care of folks, and folks like, hey, like we still down here because we didn't. Whether it was on a canal tour where we were talking to the tour guide the whole time, and he just talking to us and going back and forth. Whether it was
Yep.
at the different locations that we went to, like folks just sat there and really had conversations with us. And
yeah,
so, shout out to the folks in Holland, man.
yeah.
Genuine people. If you ever get a chance to go, check out. And that's what I say. Like I agree with what the mayor's coming from. Those cities have a lot more to offer than the red light district.
Yeah.
Facts.
Hey,
Which
look,
we
don't be surprised if
accidentally
you
we
turn
didn't
down in
even
the
we
red light
didn't
district.
we stumbled upon the red light district, right? Trying to walk to one of our destinations. It's really, so what people fail to realize is that the red light district is actually also a residential area, right?
Mhm.
People live
That's
in
exactly what they
apartments
say.
over there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's a part of it. I mean, I guess it's cool to walk down the street to say you've done it, but also remember that people live there, too.
Yep.
So,
And God bless them how good they speak English, dog. Like we talk on the topic with our tour guide and everybody, like, like they basically, I don't want to say had to learn it, but they knew they had to learn it. Like, it was one of the places that we went. It was like, bro, like that. You know what? Greece was the same way too.
Yes.
So, but
Yeah.
these lets you know Europe, those two in Europe was just like how they knew English so well, and was just like it made the trip easy.
definitely. Well, let's talk about we did Amsterdam, and then we hopped over. We caught, so we all challenged ourselves this trip to only pack a carry-on bag, right, and a backpack, because we
Yeah.
knew that we would be hopping from country to country. And you heard me allude to it earlier, like spend that money on that long haul flight, and then you can look at budget airlines hopping from country to country. So we hopped on an EasyJet flight. This is all of our first time ever flying EasyJet. Was not a bad experience. I would definitely do it again.
Get the
But you
speedy
got to know
boarding.
how. You got to know how to book your
Speedy
How to
boarding.
right. You
how
got to
to
know how to book your flight. Right. Don't
facts.
try to get the cheap one. Get the one that give you that free carry on and the free cabin bag or the overhead bag. Then you get the nice seats up front with speedy boarding.
Right.
Because one thing I can tell you, when that plane land or when it's time to board the plane, then people are ruthless. They will knock you
Hey,
over.
Woo!
They will knock you
Easy.
over to go get to their seat so they can put their luggage overhead or to remove it. So, um,
Facts.
May the
yeah,
Facts.
just got
odds
to
be
know
in your
how to.
favor.
Right.
Right.
For real. May the eyes be in your favor for real, dog.
You got to know how to book and just know how to book and know how to maneuver. It wasn't
Right.
hard, like to really learn the culture
yeah.
of the airline. because one thing you're not gonna know until about maybe 15 minutes before your flight is what gate your flight is gonna fly out of.
Come on now.
And so you gotta be flexible. I guess that's the best word to say, right? And
Right.
patient because you just may not know. But so we hopped on our flight. We had how we left Amsterdam, headed towards Greece, but on the way to Greece, we had a 10-hour overnight layover in Milan, Italy. And
Milano.
that was
Milano.
definitely another vibe. It was a very different vibe from Amsterdam, but we had some great food. Was able to get some great pictures. It
Yep.
was also able to celebrate the birthday of CJ. He had a birthday on that trip, so we went out and
Sir.
celebrated his birthday. How did you all like Milan? What tips and tricks would you give the people about Milan?
Ooh.
Milan was a different vibe. Be prepared to see homeless people for sure.
Yeah,
Um, be
Different from
prepared to see
Amsterdam.
homeless people sleeping outside of some of your major designer stores. I think that was extremely eye opening for me. I had no concept of what to expect, but going and seeing a Gucci store and seeing people literally living in tents outside of a Gucci store, that's a large, like, the irony. I'm going to use irony. It was pretty ironic to see just those different levels of, I'd say, high price store, but then people pretty much begging and starving outside the store.
for sure.
um it was, folks were a little more standoffish. They weren't as, I'd say, easygoing as Amsterdam for sure. Matt alluded to good food, so definitely good food.
Yes.
Going to the club there, totally different vibe. If you're used to American clubs, if you're used to basically being able to talk to just anybody and really vibe, that wasn't the vibe in Milan at all. They basically looked at us like we were Americans, and I think we struggled to get into the club. And if you need to use the bathroom, if you've ever seen the movie Taken, be prepared to see a hallway or two that looks like you will be taken. So take a friend if you need some security. Other than that, I'd say with Milan, a lot of beautiful sights for sure. I
Mhm.
think my highlight there was, aside from the food, thank you guys for definitely celebrating my birthday first and foremost.
For
But
sure.
aside from the food and the views that we got to see, when we were able to get on the bird scooters and kind of just like ride through the town, that was dope to me.
Yeah.
Um,
Dope. Highlight.
At 2 o'clock in the morning, we riding
It was a
scooters
highlight.
through
That
the
was a
center of
highlight.
Milan. It was definitely a highlight.
That was a highlight.
hey, now those things are controlled though. So
Yeah.
the speed in which they go, you will slow down when you are near folks. So just be prepared if you do get a bird scooter. But overall, I would like to go back to Milan. I just know what to expect.
Yeah. Definitely.
Um,
It was also dope to see the Milan Cathedral, right? To
Yes.
see to take in the beauty of that building that took
Yeah.
them over 600 years to build, right? It is massive, but it is also breathtaking. It's a sight to behold for sure.
Yes, sir.
yeah. I think for me, you know how things put you in spaces where you feel like, okay, so this how it's about to be. Right? So I think from for me, like getting off the airplane, I think set the standard for Milan, right? So I think for it just it further let me know that okay, this how the people are out here. You know, like
Right.
a little rude, a little for me, the type of person that I am, I don't think I can visit Milan in its busy peak, right?
That's
I
fair.
think for me, what we went through in Milan, like we said, that was like perfect for me. Like we got to see the beautiful areas and then go through the stuff. Like I think that was more, y'all probably can attest to this too. Like that's where we probably spent like our most money at in Milan.
Mhm.
Right.
Like when
Okay.
I
Mhm.
when I went back and checked my bank statements and stuff, that's where we spent the most money. So they gonna say it's the New York of Italy, right? And it definitely shows from the people, how they act and stuff like that. Like, say, dog, you got to move out the way,
Yeah.
And then so I think for me, the type of person that I am, and if you're the type of person that I am, like, there's like, okay, we're not really gonna take too much stuff, just that and the third. Like, it's a place to, go visit, but have that mindset, like, okay, they're gonna be a little different. But the experience from the rooftop, everything like that was good. Celebrating CJ's birthday, it was a vibe. Like, it was a little more expensive than what we started with in Amsterdam and what we seen later in Greece. That was like I
Mhm.
said, for me, that was where I spent the most of my money within in a couple hours. It was like, Lord have mercy, when I looked at it. But just like you say, we got on then after we left the restaurant and then went and hit the town on the scooters and stuff, you can't beat that. You see all the different sites, the different stores, the shops, the church, then you see everything around it, like this is a place where the four corners of the mall meet and see how pretty that it was. But like you
Yeah.
said, but it did when we go from Amsterdam to where we didn't see homeless people to Milan, Italy, when we seeing people outside a Gucci store homeless, dog. It's a different mindset. You be like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so um that was different. Then, like you said, we try to finish the night off going into the club. He looked which the bodyguard was black, by the way. He looked at us, and then when we started speaking English, and he seen that we was American, then he was like, "Okay, yeah, y'all can go up." So I feel for somebody that's black and Italian, he wouldn't have let them up. That's how I feel.
Yep.
I know he wouldn't have let them up. The
Very much.
only reason why we got up is because we was American. He heard us, he was like, okay, yeah, y'all can come up.
Right.
But being black and Italian, whatever, how they acting up, they wouldn't have let them up. He wouldn't have let them up at all. So I know that for a fact. Um, and you gotta be mindful too, the which time the train go back and bus go back, because we had to get an Uber going back, and it was pretty expensive going with that. So that's my tips going from Milan.
Definitely. I will say though, before I let Jock go, um, I do want to go back because flying into Milan from coming from Greece on my way back to Amsterdam, breathtaking. The scenery was
Yeah.
breathtaking. Seeing it in the daytime was completely different from what we saw at night. Right, we landed at 8 o'clock at night, so I definitely want to go back and kind of see it in the daytime.
Man, I feel
Definitely.
bad. I slept on every flight.
Even like it was like I will say this: Italy is a beautiful country. Like even flying in,
Mm-hmm.
that evening, we saw the countryside of Milan and the big like estates with the manicure lawn, and then to see like the city. And then even like flying out, you saw the Alps as we were flying out, and then you see the water, and then boom, you're in Santorini. So it was beautiful. I will say this to putting things in the context. One of the things that we kept referring to is called Piazza del Duomo, and so that is the plaza where the famous mall with a lot of designer stores that were founded in Italy are located there with marble floors and things like that. And then you also have the cathedral as well. It's a beautiful place. When I think of it, it's pretty much the New York of Italy. So everything's
Mm-hmm.
going to be priced higher. You're going to see all the designer brands, and just like America, right? You see a land of opportunity, but a whole bunch of folks are struggling. And so it really kind of just set things into perspective, right? As far as we look at that. But I will say this: like, even we had some hiccups with our reservations and things. We got there a little late, but the place was supposed to stay open until 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. And so they were even trying to shut the kitchen down early. And it's like, bro, like, hey, hold on now. Like, we spending money here. We popping bottles. We having drinks. We're ordering dinner. And so, afford us a good time. I understand y'all tired. It's a weekday and everything like that. But if you're advertising that you're staying open to a certain time, let's honor that, right?
Right.
Don't start trying to pack up everything around me while we're still eating, enjoying our meal,
Right.
and then take
Right.
our money. But I will say the food was great. The pasta was good. The cheese didn't give me stomach issues. The food was fresh. Even the seafood, like it tasted very different, and I enjoyed it. I am curious to explore different parts of Italy, though. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think I want to go back to Milan, but I'll try something else like Sicily and all the other spots that people talk about.
Rome and different things like that.
Oh,
Yeah,
portion size too. It's
Yes,
very,
sir.
very different from the States. Portion size. You will pay in Italy. Well, we was in Milan, but you will pay $25 for something you might pay $12 for.
Hey, and to give context, don't go over there thinking you getting an Olive Garden size pasta plate. You are
Right.
not getting you're getting a sampler in Milan.
Sampler.
But it
Yeah.
was good. It was good. I
It
had the
was
lobster
good.
pasta. It
Just think of the
was
big bowl with a small hole
perfecto.
at the bottom, and that's what your pasta is. It's a
that
designer plate.
carbonara pasta. Hey,
Right. That's it.
It was good.
I'm
It was
telling you, get
good.
that fresh cheese, that
You
Yeah.
say
fresh bacon off the back of a pig that just got slaughtered.
Mm.
you say
swine, my
Bella.
brother.
I'm telling you, if everybody don't know, that's that fresh bacon, that pancetta. Let me put y'all
Yeah.
on there.
So I mean, Milan was definitely another vibe. It was definitely cool. Um, Definitely got to go back. We don't want to let that one time kind of, give us our final ruling on Milan. Um, Granted, we only had 10 hours, so we had to maximize the hours that we had there. But early the next morning, 7 o'clock, we caught a 7 o'clock flight, excuse me, 7 o'clock a.m. flight, headed to where we go?
Santorini, Greece.
Santorini.
Santorini. And we hit an all night flight that
Santorini.
day. And we hit an all night flight.
Whew.
Lord, that
Went
all
to
night was long.
Santorini. Went to Santorini, Greece. And listen, I know you might have seen pictures of Santorini.
Yeah,
You might have, watched Mamma Mia, whatever, but none of that does it justice. It's definitely a place where you have to go and see it with your own eyes. The
agreed.
beauty, the infrastructure, um, how a lot of the houses are literally built into a cave, a rock on a hill. It's so much to take in. And we're gonna talk about it. Like, first of all, let's do this. Shout out to NxLevel Travel for
Shout out.
curating such a dope trip. That's who we met up with once we got to Santorini. We'll link
Mhm.
the information down below. They plan a lot of dope trips every year for individuals, and it's mostly most of the participants that go are HBC graduates. And we have a great time. So not only do we go and part, but we learn. We go on tours. We go to different museums and whatnot, and we soak in the culture of whatever place that we're going to. And so shout out to Hurt and Newt and NxLevel Travel. And hey, if you're looking for somewhere to go and you don't want to plan it all, hit them up and see what trips they got coming up, and I promise you, you won't regret it. I think we had it was well over 100 people.
You said 150. It
That
was 150.
Yeah, like 150 people
That was the
that
reason why we got on
went
this
on
trip.
this trip. Yeah. So, but how did you all like Greece? What was your highlight of Greece? What'd you like about it? Or would you learn from being in Greece? Just share some of your thoughts.
Whew, highlight was definitely riding that bus
To the
up
highest point.
to the highest point on that island,
Facts.
man. Like I just knew we were gonna die. I'm gonna just say this. I knew. I said, thank God for my 2 days in Amsterdam and my little night in Milan, and for letting me see 33. I'm done. We done and we finished.
Me and
Um,
CJ sat next to each other.
whew, Buck, I just knew. I was like, man, I'm dying. We
Yeah,
dying today.
they was whipping that bus.
Ooh.
The highlights of Santorini. Matt said it best. Santorini is beautiful. You cannot, no picture, no video, no movie, nothing can put that into I'd say a still frame or a video that is going to do it justice. You just have to go to Santorini and actually see the landscape and see the sights in person, because I'm sure I took damn near 100 pictures, if not more than 100, and none of them captured the beauty of Santorini. The people, one thing I really took in was that they did a lot more with a lot less than what we have over in the States. Even when we think about like Wi-Fi access, going over to Santorini, I was expecting to be able to, jump on that Wi-Fi and basically stay on my IG or get on Facebook or whatever. And it didn't work that way. Sometimes we had Wi-Fi, sometimes we didn't. Shout out to international data plans. So if you are traveling across the pond or traveling to a different country, definitely check with your service provider to see if there are international plans that you could use to access Wi-Fi and or I'd say web access or make calls and text. But getting back to it, they do a lot more with less. Even hearing our tour guide tell us, Natalia, that they had just gotten their first hospital in 2016 and we're in 2022, that's a huge perspective shift, because we take for granted, for me, Rex is right around the corner from my apartment. I could get to Rex in 5 minutes, really, if anything ever happened to me. And if I can't get to Rex, it's 1,000 urgent cares to the left or right of Rex. But for them, they're on this island where they did not have an actual hospital until 6 years ago. So if they needed to have babies, they were flying to a different island. If they had heart attacks or if they needed major medical services, they were flying out to get those services provided. And I mean, it just really makes you be, if you're not thankful, you really gain a level of gratitude after just kind of seeing those things. Even when we went to like the markets and things like that, there aren't all of these I'm going to say brands. There's not the 20 million bags of Lay's chips. You can't get your kettle pop. So if you want the skinny girl margaritas and stuff like that, is the basics. You can get you some apples, you can get you some veggies, you can get you some chips, you may get some pop, but it's not anything that's going to be extravagant or I say astronomical like what we have in the States. So that was totally different. I'm lactose intolerant. So, guys, if you do get a chance to visit Greece, definitely get some fresh cheese, get you a charcuterie board, definitely experience what that was like.
Or
I'm
make your
keeping it
own.
clean.
Right.
You
Yes,
say,
sir.
you said, I can't say it on the show, can I? No,
Okay.
okay. Make your own charcuterie board, basically.
Right.
Enjoy the fresh cheeses. But all in all, guys, Santorini was beautiful. I'll pass it to Buck, man.
Yeah, I love Santorini. Facts. Like I think we went to different spots. Like matter of fact, I think we in Santorini we hit all the major cities. Ia, I know I'm saying Ia right
Yep.
because it's OIA, but it's Ia. The O is, and I think what we stayed at was
Fear.
Ia or Freya, one of them.
Fair.
That's the one that slips me up a lot.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna go opposite of what CJ said because CJ gave a lot of chips. I'm gonna go on the opposite of what he said because it was good. He had some topics and that was great. So I'm gonna go into like the wine, like how that we went on our tour trips, like how they weave the basket so the grapes can grow inward. Like that was amazing just to learn that. And because when we was riding about the whole time we in Greece, we're like, what is this? Like, why they got this barren land? When we found out most of the island is made of volcano, you know. I also want to say like when you go on these, it don't matter if you're on a resort, it don't matter what you own or whatever. If you got somebody else staying with you, they say like how we did, two males, you're going to be in two twin sizes, and it's not American twin size. You know what I'm saying? It's smaller. The beds are very smaller, and it's not gonna be as plush as what we are used to. But like also, and we talk about the Wi-Fi. I didn't buy the international plan, so I went off Wi-Fi. So I have an iPhone, so there's a heads up too. If you're not an iPhone user, everything like that. So I didn't get your text message. I didn't get all that stuff. Only thing that came through on mine because I kept mine in airplane mode, so they wouldn't charge me. And the only thing I got was from iPhone users. and
Shout out to the Androids.
right, the Androids.
Right.
When I got back in the States, y'all was hitting me like crazy. But you know what? God bless. But we was in fear. That is the party town. All right. So is the one where everybody go to, like, sometimes they want to be like, oh, that might be the most, that's the updated one. But Fear is the party town. That's where all your clubs go be, all your bars, everything like that. And that's where we stayed. And it was a nice resort. Shout out to El Greco because it was nice. Besides, the Wi-Fi hiccups. But all the swimming pools, all the different things that we had like that, the breakfast and everything. The breakfast is different from the US. So be mindful of that. An omelet is not an omelet. It's like
That's
a
quiche.
He
whatever it
said it's
is.
quiche.
Right.
Hey,
And the bacon is not gonna be as crispy unless you get there early and catch your custard crispy part. But other than that, you have, I want to say when we in Fear, like you got your main street. We didn't see the back side of Fear till our last day, and it was beautiful, bro.
yeah,
Real talk, like beautiful. Like I say this, don't go on the back strip to go buy food because that's where they go overcharge you for, like, oh, I want to see a view on the island. Cause we went to Pelican
right.
something in the middle of the city and we paid less than that for better food. They just being real, you know. And and go to don't go. You know what I'm saying? We was getting $3
Ooh.
gyro. You know what it is. So gyros, euro, whatever they want to say, it was beautiful and it was amazing. It was so tasty, and from people that's from there. But
Yeah,
Santorini was a vibe. Oh, and we got to see the best sunset in, they say, the world or whatever the case may be. That's something that all four of us, that they can't take away, that we got together. That, bro,
agreed.
that's beautiful. Like, for real. Like, to see that sunset and them beauty. The thing about it with Santorini, in all be all, pure point blank, is the views.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah.
for
Drake said
sure.
views from the six. Nigga, views from Santorini is different.
Go back and
That's
listen to
it.
what Rick Ross said in that song, Santorini, Greece.
And that's why I say in my heart, when you go to Santorini, it's the views. The thing that you had to get, and I say the if I say downside for the people that's not, like, they're used to walking or the stairmaster, baby girl, baby boy, you got to go up them hills. Period.
Listen,
Point blank.
And you're
he
going
You
to have to
are
walk to
says
see
going
the
to
views.
walk in Greece.
You're going to pay for
You
them
are
views if you
going to
ready.
walk.
Don't be
If you
trying to
don't,
look cute.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna say this again. You're going to walk. Them hamstrings and them quads are going to burn.
Yes, sir.
Period, point blank. End of story. God
Yes,
bless,
sir.
love.
Oh yeah, be
we
prepared to
definitely got our
encounter a lot
steps
of
in.
animals.
Yes.
Oh yeah, a lot of dogs and cats
Yeah.
along the beaten path. I know we had like a dog that was in the restaurant we went to. Like he just walked in like this was his joint, like waiting on somebody to give him some food. They had to like rush him out of the restaurant. But that's kind of how it is, right? Um, the cats was in there soaking up all the wind. Not in the restaurant, but like walking through the villages, you would see them just like sitting on like one of the ledges or something like that,
Looking at us like,
just
what y'all doing here?
sunbathing, right? Trying to figure out
Right.
who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, Santorini is definitely a vibe. Like Buck said, it's there is no earth. Santorini is not made out of earth; it's made out of volcano ashes.
Yeah.
And so it's a little different. They don't have any fresh water on the island, so make sure that you get your bottled water. I learned a little different. I learned by hopping in the shower. You get in the shower, you put the water on your face, and I'm saying something is real salty.
Salty.
So get you some bottled
Lord,
water, right? And get you some bottled water.
Like...
Get you some bottled water so you can wash your face and brush your teeth.
Yes, sir.
Right.
But outside of that, I mean, I don't have any complaints about Greece. It's definitely a place. I mean, I wouldn't go back no time soon. I think the next time I will go back would probably be with a significant other.
Right.
Yeah.
And go after April.
Yeah.
Right.
And go after because a lot of things were closed. So their summer season doesn't start until May. And so some of the places like the beach clubs and stuff were closed. So definitely go after April. And the weather is still it's not kind of cool.
Windy.
Windy.
And windy.
So
if you wear lace fronts and eyelashes, just be prepared to keep them babies
God bless
tightly.
Right. He said bring some extra glue.
For real.
Hey.
For real.
And bring some walking shoes. Don't go out there in the Gucci flip-flops.
For real.
Right.
Don't go out there.
Don't be out there trying to impress everybody because
try to walk
feet gonna be screaming.
You'll be bleeding.
Come
right.
on now. Shout out to the girl who
I
was
never
limping
saw
after
like
the
Shout out
tour.
to the girls that came back from the
That was limping after the tour.
I'm
They
serious.
had multiple.
They came down to the heels with the wobbly ankles. I said,
They was crying.
Like, them ankles got the
Oh my
buckling.
God. I said, God bless, Queen.
God bless.
Can't relate.
For real.
But I did not see too many overweight people in Greece because that Mediterranean diet and that walking is real.
Yeah, for sure.
Real.
And
yeah,
they ate a lot of pork.
Bruh.
A lot of folks think that
Pork and
gyros
chicken.
is lamb meat. Most of the gyros that we found out was either chicken or pork.
Yes.
And they cooked the mess out of that pork.
Oh my God.
So shout out to them. Like the Greek salads was great. The gyros were fire. Everything was fresh. Like, some things that might upset our stomach in the States that we stay away from over there. Like, you didn't have issues. Like, I didn't have any stomach issues when I was over there.
No.
So the food was very fresh.
Yeah. I'll definitely say too. Also, in Greece, I tried 2 new things. I tried mussels for the first time, and I also tried octopus for the first time. Mussels, I don't really gotta have them again, but the octopus was actually pretty good.
I'm proud of you eating up the octopus because I couldn't try it.
Yeah,
I say God bless.
The way it looked,
for real. Like I was when y'all was cutting into that.
It's a little tough.
Rubbery,
it's a little tough.
I said, God bless.
Hey,
for real.
But yeah, so that's a part of traveling, right? Trying something that you haven't. Granted, I can get mussels over here, but I know like octopus is maybe I don't want to say it's a delicacy over there, but it is something that they do eat quite often. And so I was able to try it. I mean, and I would try it again.
And if your gyro don't come with fries, it ain't real. That's all I'm gonna say.
For real, we found out
they gotta
about
put
that.
some fries on the inside.
Every gyro we had out there had fries on there, dog. For real.
You say shout out to Lucky's for the $3.20
dog, with the $3 euros, and that shit was flavorful.
Yes, sir.
Definitely.
Real talk. It felt like a Lord. It felt like a Mexican spot in the States, bro. Them boys hooking that thing up had the sauces. I was like, Lord, hold up. This is a burrito spot?
Little taquiera spot. You feel me?
I'm telling you, for real, dog. They had it. Man, my boy popped up that thing with the, this is chili hot sauce. Boom. Oh, hold up.
Hey, we gotta hit him with a big dog. Put a little seasoning on that thing.
Look, he had a little salt, and I don't know what the red pepper was.
Oh, that was that seasoning salt.
That's how what it was too, like with a little paprika in that thing or something. It just definitely was crushing.
I want to let's go back to our first day there when we learned about how Greece Santorini used to be divided in like divisions between like rich, middle class, and poor people,
Facts.
right? And how something happened and uh it pretty much leveled the playing field because the rich, those who had money, moved away
Moved away.
from Santorini into like other Greek countries or moved to the states.
So
Uh,
I can fill in a little bit. So
yes.
what happened was in 1956 there was a huge earthquake
Mm-hmm.
on the island of Santorini, and so a lot of the rich families where they were staying at in the areas they were hit actually the hardest. And so the island was decimated, meaning that after the earthquake happened, like running water was not working, there was no electricity, and a lot of the houses that were built were just not functional anymore. And so what happened was there was a huge transition of wealth, meaning that the folks that had money had the resource to get off the island and go somewhere else, and so
Yeah.
they started leaving by the boatloads. But the folks who
Mm-hmm.
were poor had to stay there, and what happened was these people had to sell their houses to rich folks. And so at the point, it came to a point where like donkeys were an easy way to get around. They used those on the island. And so a mansion or an estate was going for a donkey. And
Right.
so here you had
Facts.
the folks that couldn't afford to get off the island. Like,
They
here,
got
I give
money.
you this donkey for your mansion or your estate. And that's when we
Yeah.
saw this huge transition in wealth. And a lot of those estates and mansions were then turned into, well, what happened was a lot of poor people stayed in cave hotels, cave dwellings for the poor people back in the day. But when they left those and went to the estates, they then kept those lands and turned them into cave hotels. And now those people are no longer poor. Their grandkids are reaping the benefits. But go ahead
Right.
and continue, Matt.
Right.
Right.
2000, what he said, those people that was poor now own these hotels where you stay $1,000 to $2,000 a night in a hotel that got like a cave pool or cave apartment, which
Mm-hmm.
was poor back in the day. That's crazy how it flip flop. And that's what we
Yeah.
learned about that. Like what we see over here talking about Santorini, Greece, or whatever it is, and they got the cave and they're in the pool and all this stuff and taking good pictures. That's how
Yeah.
poor people lived back in the day.
Yeah. Definitely. I
Pretty
just think
ironic.
that that's is a dope story, right? And it's very some information that is that we need to know, right? Like we think that just going to Santorini, going to take pictures, and if you're a woman, you're going to take pictures in the long flowy dresses and all the other things. But there's so much more to Santorini that meets the eye. That meets the eye.
Right.
And there's so much rich history, and it's very important when you travel to these different places, these different countries, that you take time to learn the story of the country, because you gain a better appreciation of while you're there, right? Like just
Yeah.
to know X, Y, and Z happened, it you like, dang, I'm really here where such and such happened. And so just it's really important to take that time to go on a tour, um, go on a tour, do some research, and really, like Jock said earlier, have a conversation with the locals, right? You'll learn a lot from the locals. So don't go on vacation, with all these I guess preconceived expectations of how you should be treated, because
Yep.
at the end of the day these people don't know you. You
Nor
and
do they
you
care.
are invading their space. But when you present yourself to be approachable, they don't mind opening up and having conversations with you and telling you some history. I'm a big proponent of storytelling. What better way to learn history other than storytelling, by storytelling? And so just taking that time to chop it up. And yeah, and we definitely have a good time in Greece. We definitely had a good time. The boat ride was dope. Shout out to the black and blue boat, blue boat,
Gang,
the
gang, was in
Hey,
that
Ghana and
Ghana,
Greece
Greece.
boat, right?
Yaman.
Yes.
We definitely had a dope time on our boat.
Shout out to next
Um,
level.
Shout out to Next Level. So we had like
For
the boat
real.
race. We had three boats. We had the
Jamaica.
Jamaica boat, which is the black, green, and yellow boat. We had the red boat, and then we had they merged the black and the blue boat. And so we
Yeah.
were on the black and blue boat. The best boat, if I might say so myself.
Right.
We definitely had a good time. The food was amazing. Shout out to
Woo!
the
Shout
cooks
out
on
to
the
that
boat.
pork.
That
Right.
pork steak was
Boy, them boy
Um,
cook some
fire.
pork in that thing. Put that thing on that grill with the Mediterranean spices, that grease spices. Ooh, to me, 'cause I know how they cook. They probably submerge that pork and marinate that thing in some yogurt, some Greek yogurt, and put them spices on that thing and put that on that grill. Cause we
mm.
was wondering what that was over there in that. Remember, we was on the boat. We was like, man, what is them fuels coming from? My boy's getting that grill ready, boy.
Oh yeah, it was definitely good. I didn't get the pork. I had the chicken. Chicken was also great. Um, but the boat ride, the water was a little
Little
choppy,
choppy.
given the
Yeah.
weather
Was it
and
choppy?
everything. But Buck and Jock, they got a chance to actually jump out into the water. How was that experience? I didn't get to. By the time I got ready to get out, jump off the boat, it's like, oh, we're getting ready to leave. So I didn't get a chance to jump into the water. But how was swimming in? I don't even know. I believe it's the
Was it the
Mediterranean.
Aegean Sea? And it was
Aegean,
the Aegean,
The
huh?
Aegean.
Aegean,
Aegean
Yeah, the
Sea.
Aegean,
Aegean
like yeah,
Sea.
correct
Yeah.
me, kid. But I'm gonna say this: I was ready to hop in there, but we were tipsy for playing Kings, and I forgot when you was recording. I had my glasses on, so I'm over here about to get ready to do my dive and jump in. And as soon as I get ready to dive and jump in, I said, "Oh, my glasses on my face." So boom, I jump in. I'm gonna say this: I left a souvenir. My glasses are in the bottom of the Aegean Sea. So I left a little bit of big buck in the sea.
Have you ever seen the bottom of the
You
Aegean
know,
Sea, brother?
you know what I'm saying?
His
But the thing
glasses
about
have.
it was so cold, but it was pretty and blue.
It
And it
was.
wasn't as salty as Mexico. But I'm gonna say this though, it was so beautiful and clear, and I'm glad I jumped in. Real talk.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely one of the highlights. I'm a water baby. I love being on the water.
Thanks,
Any
water
country I
baby
can
too.
visit, I want to get on a boat. What I the view as we walk down to board the boats.
ooh.
I've never in my life seen something so beautiful.
It
Which
was.
one? Which one, Jock? Can you say that one walking down, or the one Matt? Remember when we was coming out the boat and we seen the whole back part of the island? How that junk look? Which one would be better for y'all?
It's tough. I'm going with the actual when we docked the boat down there in that little cove. It was just
Right, it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was unexplainable.
It was, bro. Like it was seeing that. Like I wasn't expecting it to see. Like, dang, ooh, look at that view. But that's why I say it's nothing. But that's why I tell people, like I said earlier, the views is what gets you. Because when we was on that boat and I seen the whole view from the backside of it, I was like, Lord have mercy. Only thing I
Hmm.
can say is say, Matt, please can you get a picture of some of that? Because that junk was amazing.
It was.
It
It
was.
was.
Amazing.
It's like we said. Like we could take all the pictures we want to. The pictures still won't do it any justice,
It
right? It's
was.
something you got to plan that trip to go over to Greece to see it for yourself. Go to Milan, go to Amsterdam, and see it for yourself. So after we left Greece, Greece was definitely a vibe. We ended our trip where we started. We went back to Amsterdam. We had to split ways. Uh, Buck and I went back to Amsterdam through Milan, and CJ and Jock went back to Amsterdam through London. I want to say
Okay.
Gatwick. Uh, and God bless them. But they made it back safely in one piece.
Right,
A little late, but made it back
right.
safe.
11:30, whatever it was.
And so we were able to wrap up and just kind of recap of the trip and just share our experience. And I think this kind of leads me to our closing question that I have for you before we get to our wandering tip of the week. My question would be for Jock and not for Jock, for Buck and for CJ. Why do you think that it's important for more black men to
Mm.
travel?
Well, I'll start first. I think it's for me coming from, and I'm gonna say my area, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right? I know people not. I know my black brothers is not traveling and going out of places. You know what I'm saying? Because we get so
Mhm.
stuck in Louisiana. I'm gonna keep it a bean, and that's just real. We get so stuck in Louisiana, bro. We look over there like right now. Our best thing was like, oh, we about to move to Houston. My dog. Oh, my dog. Like, bro, that's your highlight. Like, I'm about to move to Houston. Get your passport, cause and thank the job. I got my passport in what 2020, and that's the best decision I've made in my part of my life. Real talk, like I'm so happy that I got my passport to go see different things, like
Mhm.
outside of the country, going to Colombia, going now across the pond, going to I done been what we did a European tour, Greece, Italy, Amsterdam, and I'm you know what I'm so glad that we got on this thing. I'm so glad that we was able to do that together. You know, I'm glad that I was a part of it, like for real. And it's on my social media and everybody that's in my life right now that from my co-workers and everything, like, man, you went across, you know, that's what they do. They were like, bro, you went across that water. Like for real.
Yes, sir.
Like real talk. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I know black men that I'm talking to that's older than me, and they like, man, you went on a bucket list trip. Santorini, Greece.
Yes, sir.
That's real. That's real talk. You know what I'm saying? I want to say different, but I'm being, you know, it's real talk. They got people that go through their whole life that didn't go through a trip that we just did, and that's real talk. And that's why I say it is what it is, baby. We got to get it.
Yes,
Definitely.
yes,
I'm
sir.
gonna ask that same question to you, CJ. Why do you think that it's important for more black men to get into traveling?
I think it's important because it helps to a destigmatize one thing that I think you and Jock have talked about a lot, which is that we as black people don't travel, that we don't travel outside of our our locality. So if it's where we were born, we don't travel from there. If it's within the U.S., we don't travel to other states. If it's outside of the U.S., we don't travel to other countries. I think that it's also important because you get the ability to witness and really immerse yourself in other cultures. For me, again, I take away from my experience in Europe that they do a lot more with less. I laugh at what Buck said, but it's the truth. Those twin beds, they shocked the heck out of me. But you know, that's something that's commonplace in Europe, and that's something that I learned. Being able to have and experience, you know, great seafood is something that I was able to take away from this trip. So I'd say, in closing and wrapping it up, without being super wordy, just being able to learn about different cultures. It's important to be able to get that exposure. It's eye opening and will change your life for sure.
Definitely, definitely. And this won't be the last trip from the four of us. I mean, you'll see
Thanks.
a lot more.
Thanks.
I think this was just the start of something great. And so, yeah. Um, let's get into the wandering tip of the week. Y'all ready for that? Y'all ready for the wandering tip of the
I'm
week?
ready. Let's
Yes,
go.
Let's go.
sir.
Listen, I want to tell you, unfortunately, we didn't, well, fortunately, we didn't have to take a COVID test to get into Europe, but unfortunately, the US still requires you to take a COVID test, right? And what I found very useful, right? Because there was a COVID test set up for the group, for us in Greece, and they were charging them $60 for a COVID test. But something told me one day just to look at the government issued COVID test that they sent us a while back. And on here, there's a QR code that you can scan, and it allows you to pay for the virtual assistant. And you only have to pay like 25 bucks for the virtual assistant. and they literally walk you through the process. They watch you take your COVID test and send you your results right then and there, and you have that to get back into the state. So I use the brand called iHealth. I don't know if everybody got the same, but this one I would prefer iHealth COVID-19 antigen rapid test. And it has the QR code on there, and you can use this for travel for re-entry back into the United States. I know Buck and I used this, and it was seamless. It was very easy, 15 minutes, and you have your results.
That's it.
And then they email it to you, and you got it to get back into the states. So that's our wandering tip for the week. If you got some of these laying around and you know you're going getting ready to go out the country, pack one in
That
your
was
bag.
clutch. That was clutch.
Yeah, pack one in your bag.
When Matt said had that, that was so clutch. Real talk.
Hmm.
Like that was so clutch. I ain't gonna lie.
For sure.
Thank
Because
you, Matt.
sometimes they hike up the prices for them COVID tests in the airport or anywhere in the town. So yeah, pack one of these in your bag and just have it on standby. And it's 20 something dollars. You can't beat that.
Yes.
And you have your results in 15 minutes. So that's our wandering tip for today. We have been on here for quite a while. This is normally we're like maybe 20 minutes over what we normally record, but it was a good conversation, a great conversation, and we are glad to have our brothers here on the
Conversation.
podcast with us. So we want to definitely thank Buck and CJ for agreeing to come out and participate and be our guest in the Travel Hour podcast episode 4, Santorini Me. And I hope that you all who are listening, you enjoyed the conversation, that you enjoyed, that you take something away, and that you plan your trips to Amsterdam, Milan, and Santorini in the near future, because they're waiting on you. As you always hear me say, the world is waiting on you. You just got to go ahead and book that flight. So yeah, definitely. Thank you, Buck. Thank you, CJ, for
Appreciate
taking
it.
time out of your
Yeah.
day
Thanks,
to
guys.
chop it up with us. As always, thank you to Joc, my co-host. It's definitely been real and it's been a vibe. And we are still moving forward with the travel hour. We're looking forward to where the travel hour will go. But before we hop off of here, definitely follow us on social media. If you
Yes, sir.
have not done so already, you can find the travel hour on Instagram. Our name is the THEE Travel Hour, and you can find us on what is that? On Instagram. You can under that name. You can find us under that name on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, and on YouTube. So if you have not yet followed the Travel Hour, please go follow us. Go subscribe to the podcast. Listen to the episodes, leave reviews, and let us know how we're doing. Jock, how can they find you on social media?
Yes, sir. You can find me on the ground on IG. The name is the THE_Zixter with 2 G's. So reach out, follow us on Instagram, and then make sure you also follow the Travel Hour page on Instagram.
Yeah, Buck, how can we find you on Instagram?
On Instagram is BayouQ, BayouQue, one word. Follow me. You know, it's on Snapchat as well. And it's April 13th when we're recording this. I want to give a shout out to our fallen brother, my line brother, James Langford. We love you, and we will always recite your name, baby. I love you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Doc
R.I.P.
Langford, man.
The
RIP.
Langford. Yes, sir.
RIP.
CJ, how can we follow you on all socials or Instagram?
Well, just IG, and that's Don Quixote, DON_QUIXOTE, period, underscore.
Dope. And we'll be sure to link all of that in our description below. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at according to TO, not the number MP. And you can find me there on YouTube. It's Matt P. So we want to thank you all for tuning in to today's episode of the Travel Hour. And as we hop off of here, we just want you all to go ahead. The world is open back up. So go ahead and book that trip and let us know what you experienced. Let us know how your experience was. And like we always say, keep your head up. And thank you for listening to the Travel Hour.
Please have me back, my brothers. I love this. It was vibe. I love this.
Definitely.
No doubt. We
Definitely.
appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
guys.
Well, Jock, I think we did. I think we've accomplished what we needed to accomplish.
Yes, sir. Well, until next time, Travel Our Family.
We signing off.
That's it.